Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Coming to the kitab, Anwaar-us-Salaah. Last we had discussed on Saturday in regards to the three terms that is normally used. And we said one was ilmus-salah, one was ainus-salah, and one was haqqus-salah. So one is to have the knowledge of salah, one is to see a proper salah being performed, and one is that a person, he performs a proper salah himself. So in the khanqahs, a genuine sheikh of the tasawwuf, he will ensure that his murids will perform a proper salah so they can get connected to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala very, very quickly. And sometimes it also happens that sometimes the murid is genuine. And when the murid is genuine, then Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala opens many things up for the murid, and Allah Ta'ala opens up many things on the sheikh also sometimes. Mullah Thanwi Rahmatullah used to say that many people, they come and they sit in my gathering, and many questions that they have in their heart, when I speak, I answer all those questions. And they think that I get kash. He said, there's no kash over here. He said, with that genuineness that you came to the majlis, with those thoughts in your mind you came to the majlis, on that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala made me speak in a particular direction, and whatever need you had, your need was then fulfilled. Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah Alayhi used to have a silent majlis. Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah Alayhi used to hardly speak in his majalis. And he would have his majlis, we have from Hazrat, between Maghrib and Isha. So anyway, every year Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah Alayhi used to make mention of one particular incident. And this incident that Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah Alayhi used to mention was this, that there was a group of thieves, bandits, and on one occasion they decided that let's go into the masjid. And the leader of these thieves, he became the big sheikh. So he came and he sat down in the masjid, and all his followers, they became like the disciples. So they were sitting in the masjid. So one person, he was genuine, he wanted to reach Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. So he came to the masjid. So when he came to the masjid, he saw that there's a big sheikh here, and there's a murid, they're all his disciples that are there. So he came to him and he said, I want to take bay'at to you. And he took bay'at to him. And then he said that, prescribe something, I want to reach Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. So he wasn't any sheikh, he was a fake, he was a thief. So he told him that you must take a pick, and you must go out and you must start digging. So take that pick or axe and start digging. So he took that pick, and he went out and he started digging. And he dug and he dug. But because he was so genuine, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala elevated him. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala now raised his status. And when his status, when he was now elevated, so he said that if Allah Ta'ala has elevated me, Allah Ta'ala brought me so high, then what is the position of my sheikh? So he then went to the sheikh and he said that, what is your position? Allah, show me what is the position of my sheikh. So he went to the sheikh, what is your position? So at the end of the day, the sheikh, he was a thief. He wasn't any sheikh. But through this, Allah Ta'ala gave him the tawfiq of making tawbah perhaps and changing his life. So sometimes when the murid also is genuine, then Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala opens the way. So a person wants to be connected to Allah Ta'ala. He has a desire that I must read a genuine salah. Allah will open the way for such a person. This nisbat, Khaja Sahib Rahmatullah Alayhi, once he asked Mullah Thanwi Rahmatullah Alayhi, he said, Hazrat, that this nisbat, a person, he gets this connection with Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. So how does a person know that he has attained nisbat? So Mullah Thanwi Rahmatullah Alayhi said that everything in life changes. He said that guftar, the way a person speaks, this now changes. He almost speaks like how he used to speak before. Kirdar, all his ways, his behavior, all this changes. Raftar, the way a person walks. Before he got nisbat, how he used to walk. And now after nisbat, how much of humbleness, how a person walks, everything changes. Which I was explained. He says that you're a little boy, young boy, when he is small, maybe 7 years old, 8 years old, now he'll take his sleeves and he'll wipe his nose. So he can't be bothered about anything. He's worried about playing marbles and playing all these things, flying a kite. But now that boy has grown up, now he became baligh. Now see what a change in that boy. Now he's no more wiping his nose with his sleeves. Now he's not worried about playing marbles. Now he's worried about his hairstyle. He's worried how his clothing is, what kind of shoes he's wearing, what kind of phone he's carrying. So like this also, a person, when he hasn't got nisbat, he is far. And when he got nisbat, he got connection with Allah Ta'ala, everything in his life then changes. Now you'll see simplicity coming in his life. You give him now, instead of going to the restaurant, he'll want to eat home food. And he will eat the simple things, the vegetables, etc. All that he wants to eat now. Now this person, he wants to be in seclusion. He wants to be connected with Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Sports and all these things, futile things, these things don't matter to this person anymore. He has changed. His outlook of life has changed. He wants to drink now the Zamzam of Makkah Sharif. He wants to eat the Khajur of Medina Sharif. So a person, he changes his entire life. So through salah, a person will get this connection with Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. So continuing here, he further writes, और इसके मुताला से हर नमाजी को कुछ फायदा जरूर होता है. By reading this kitab, then he said every namazi, he will definitely benefit from this kitab. This is such a great kitab that he will take benefit from. लेकिन ये भी जाहिर है कि महज मुताला से हर कोई खुद ऐसी नमाज अदा करने पर कादिर नहीं हो सकता जब तक कि किसी खास तरतीब से इसकी मश्क न करे. He said also, just by making mutala, just by studying a kitab, no person will be able to just perform a perfect salah. You won't get a perfect salah just by making mutala, just opening a kitab and reading a kitab. Otherwise, today everyone would have been performing a perfect namaz because there's so much of literature in the world. Today everything is on Google. You can just get a PDF, download the kitab and you read it. So he says, just by studying a kitab, you won't be able to read a perfect salah. As long as a person does not make mashq, he does not practice it in proper sequence. क्योंकि सआदतों के हुसूल में आदतुल्लाह इस तरह जारी है कि कसब और मेहनत करनी पड़ती है. It says because to attain good fortune, the habit of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, the way of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, the sunnah of Allah ta'ala is this, that a person has to first make effort. That you want something, normally a person has to make effort in that path. फिर इस पर अता वह भी तौर पर होती है. Then Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala grants it to a person. So first a person normally has to make effort. When he makes an effort, then Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala from his side opens the way, and then Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala gives it to a person. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, Allah ta'ala says so many tests he went through. وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ. So many tests he went through. When he went through all this, then Allah ta'ala says, إِنِّي جَاعِلُكَ لِلنَّاسِ إِمَامًا. I will make you an imam for mankind. But first, he went through all the difficulties. So this is the system of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, that a person first goes through mehnat, goes through difficulty, then Allah ta'ala gives it to a person. So in salah also, first a person has to stay under a sheikh, a person has to practice, a person has to learn, then Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala opens the path for a person. चुनाचे Allah ta'ala जल्ला शानुहु के रहमत अगरचे किसी इल्लत व सबब के मोहताज नहीं है, यख्तस्सु बिरहमतिही मन यशा. However, Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala's rahmat, Allah ta'ala's mercy is not in need of any cause, any reason. Not because you did this, now I have to give it to you. No, Allah ta'ala's rahmat is not in need of it. Allah ta'ala chooses and selects out of His mercy whoever Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala wishes. He can give it to whomsoever He wishes, even without effort. If Allah ta'ala wants to give it to somebody, Allah ta'ala can give it to that person. Allah ta'ala is not bound by any laws. Allah ta'ala is not restricted by any laws. Allah ta'ala can do whatever He wishes. It's mentioned, Mullah Jalaluddin Rumi rahmatullahi alayhi has written that an incident of a particular king. So the king had passed away. So they said, who are we going to appoint now as the next king? So they sat down, they made mashwara. When mashwara was made, they said that the first person that will come to the palace tomorrow morning, he will take the seat. We will make him the king. So it so happened, the next person that came to the palace first thing in the morning was a beggar. And not only a beggar, 7 generations before him, they were all beggars. So they said that, we said whoever comes first to the palace, he becomes the king. So although he's a beggar, we have to make him the king. So they made him the king. So when they put him on the throne, now for example at 12 o'clock, so he told the servants, now come. And how they would carry a king and take him to go and rest. So one on his right, one on his left, they carried him and they took him now to rest. And his instructions also just like a king. The decisions that he has to make, he would make decisions just like a king. So they told him that, Badshah Salamat, he says, how did you get this? How did you get this? You're a beggar, and 7 generations before you all beggars. How did you get this this ability of making decisions like a king, instructing like a king, everything like a king? He said that Allah who blessed me with this position, that Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala taught it to me as well. So Allah ta'ala is not that it's necessary a person has to make effort, then Allah opens the way. But this is the way of Allah ta'ala. But when Allah ta'ala wants to give a person, Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala can give a person also without that effort. So our matters, we should leave it to Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. Which Shah Wasiullah rahmatullahi has mentioned, he says that just now bring Allah ta'ala into the heart. When Allah ta'ala will come into the heart, all these problems that we got, spiritual illnesses, that anger that we got, that greed that we got, that hatred that we got, malice that we got, pride that we got, jealousy that a person got, all this will come out just by Allah ta'ala coming into the heart. He gives the example, he says that in the time of Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam, and the bird went out and came back, reported to Sulaiman alayhi salam, the hudhud, said that, in a certain place, there's a queen, Bilqis, and she is worshipping the sun. So Sulaiman Islam wrote to her, etc. We're not going to go into the details, but he wrote to her. And then this letter, when it reached Bilqis, she made mashwara. She consulted with all her ministers. So the minister said, we strong people also, let them come. If they want to come, let them come. We will take them on. So she said, إِنَّ الْمُلُوكَ إِذَا دَخَلُوا قَرْيَةً, that these kings, when they enter into a certain village, أَفْسَدُوهَا, they destroy everything, they corrupt everything. وَجَعَلُوا أَعِزَّةَ أَهْلِهَا أَذِلَّةً, the respectable people, the honorable people, they humiliate these people, they disgrace these people. وَكَذَلِكَ يَفْعَلُونَ, and this is what they will do over here. So from here, the Shah Wasiullah Rahmatullah Alayhi has written, he says that when a king goes to a certain place, how he wipes everything out, he destroys everything, the previous cabinet. Why it mustn't happen that they are loyal to the previous king or to the previous queen in this example, they rebel against the next king. So it mustn't happen that they cause problem, they cause harm to the current king. So they wipe everything out. When Allah Ta'ala will come into the heart, no matter what illness a person has, whatever sickness a person has, Allah Ta'ala will cleanse him, Allah will purify him from everything. Allah Ta'ala came into the heart, finish, everything else will now go out of the heart. The example of this our Hazrat gives, he says that a person, he's got a massive farm, and he says there's all weed growing. So one is now you take the lawnmower or you take the slasher and now you start removing and cutting all the big grass down, removing all the weed. So he says that by the time you go ahead, 3-4 kilometers ahead you went, behind you the rain came, everything started growing again. So you'll never reach your destination. And he says one way is just throw some paraffin, some petrol, and just put a mastic and see. I mean, within 1 hour, half an hour, 1 hour, everything is burnt out. And the whole farm is now cleaned out. So exactly the same way, when Allah Ta'ala will come into the heart, everything will be sorted out. Allah Ta'ala doesn't need any reasoning and any effort from a person. If He wants, Allah Ta'ala can cleanse a person out. How many people that what we will say, they were like write-offs. But when Allah Ta'ala pulled them, then Allah Ta'ala made them His beloved. Fuzayl bin Ayaz Rahmatullah alayh. He was a robber. When Allah Ta'ala made him, he became the wali of the time. Abdullah bin Mubarak Rahmatullah alayh. He used to drink all the time, be rejoicing, having what we'll say festival in the fruit ripening season. He used to call everybody. They used to have their concert. In there, Allah Ta'ala pulled him. Allah made him His beloved. Malik ibn Dinar Rahmatullah, drunkard, came 15th of Shaban. Allah pulled him. He became the beloved. Bishr Hafi Rahmatullah alayh is going to the bar. He picks up the name of Allah Ta'ala on the floor, shows a little bit of adab, no effort. He just showed respect to the name of Allah Ta'ala. Allah loved us so much, Allah pulled him, Allah made him His beloved. Ibrahim bin Adham Rahmatullah alayh, what a great king. When Allah Ta'ala wanted to pull him, Allah Ta'ala pulled him also. Shaykhul Hind Rahmatullah, on one occasion, he saw one Hindu in Jannat. So he asked the Hindu, he said, oh, you Hindu, you came to Jannat? How you came to Jannat? You died as a Hindu. He says at the time of Maut, before I left the world, Allah Ta'ala sent the Farishta. That Farishta made me read Kalima, angel made me read Kalima, and I left the world. Allah Ta'ala entered me into Jannah. Allah Ta'ala is not in need of anyone. There was one person in KZN. He had a shibeen, and he used to sell alcohol, and he passed away. In the 27th night of Ramadan, he passed away. So what he had, one quality he had in him, that in the month of Ramadan, he used to close up. He never used to open the shibeen. His income was haram, but in the month of Ramadan, he would close it up. Even the other months, the income is haram, he's selling alcohol. So the customers will say, we're not Muslim, why you don't open for us? He say, oh no, this is Allah Ta'ala's month. This month I can't play with. 27th night, Allah Ta'ala took him. Allah Ta'ala can make anyone His beloved. There was one person, he was a sharabi, drunkard, kebab, what we'll say, kababi, sharabi, kababi, only drinking all the time. So when he passed away, nobody came for his janazah. Nobody. So the janazah is lying there 3 days now. Body was, after some time, it starts decomposing also. So the wife, she hired some laborers. She said, pick him up, take him. How you know? You must give him ghusl. If you know how to read janazah namaz, read his janazah. If you don't know, just bury him and finish. End of story. So the wife, so these laborers came, they took him. How they knew, they gave ghusl. And now they went to bury this person. At that time, it so happened that the wali of the time, Allah Ta'ala inspired him. He said, go, my wali has passed away. Go attend his janazah namaz. So whoever was the wali of the time, he got up. When he got up, all his followers, all the people of the town, everyone went. They read the janazah namaz, they buried him, everything. Now they wanted to find out what good did this person do. Everyone knew him as a bad man. So they went around the town. Now they went to the wife, and they asked the wife. They say that, what good did he have? She says, you all know him. He was a drunkard. This was his condition. She says, but two qualities he had. He says, one quality was, he always kept an orphan in the house. And before he'll eat, he first would feed the orphan. Before he buys clothes for himself, first he will buy clothes for the orphan. So this is one quality he had. And it says the other quality that he had, he would come in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, and he is drunk. He says, but what he used to do, he used to take a ghusl. He used to take a ghusl. And then he used to read 2 rakats of namaz. And he says, Ya Allah, which corner of Jahannam have you reserved for me? Which corner of Jahannam? That was tawbah that he was making to Allah Ta'ala. So we don't know what is the position of people. We can't pick our fingers and point at anyone. We don't know how they're going to live. We should worry that how we going to leave this dunya, how we going to meet Allah Ta'ala. So here he says, Allah Ta'ala's rahmat, Allah's mercy is not in need of any reason whatsoever. Allah Ta'ala chooses whomsoever He wishes. Lekin inna rahmatallahi qareebun min al-muhsinin bi farman ilahi hai. But Allah Ta'ala also says that the rahmat of Allah Ta'ala, the mercy of Allah, is close to those people that do good. Meaning those that make an effort, they do good deeds, then these are the people that are deserving of the mercy of Allah Ta'ala. But Allah Ta'ala is not bound by any laws. If Allah Ta'ala wants to choose and select anyone, Allah Ta'ala can choose and select him. Lihaza, hum Hazrat Sayyid Sahib Qaddasa Sirruhul Aziz की तकरीर दिल पजीर को दिल में जमाने और अमल में लाने के लिए दर्ज झेल 5 असबाब के तौर पर तहरीर करते हैं. He says, for this reason we are now bringing this very effective bayan of Hazrat Shah Ahmad Shaheed Rahmatullah Alayh. But before we go into this bayan, there are 5 sabaks, 5 points that we bring over here that will assist a person to bring this bayan of his into his heart and to make amal on this bayan. Therefore a person should go through these 5 sabaks first, and then we will come to the actual bayan of the Shah Ahmad Shaheed Rahmatullah Alayh. Nur Awwal, the first point. इस मश्क का फायदा सिर्फ उन्हीं सालिकीन को होगा कि जो जिक्र व शुगल के तरीक को बाज़ाब्ता इख्तियार कर चुके हैं. It says only those salikin, salik, those people that are treading the path of Allah Ta'ala, only those people treading the path of Allah Ta'ala, they can take benefit from this exercise, this whole bayan of the Shah Ahmad Shaheed Rahmatullah Alayh. They can benefit from it, from this exercise. Those people who formerly had done a cause on zikrullah. That first a person, he must do a cause of zikrullah. Minimum a person, he should stay in the company of a sheikh 40 days and make the zikr of Allah Ta'ala. Hazrat Maulana Masihullah Sahib Rahmatullah used to say that when people come to me, he says that there's different types of people, with different thoughts they come to me. So he says this is like in India, you get a dhobi, he washes the clothes. So you just put all the clothes together, you make a parcel, you give it to him, tell him go and wash it. And he doesn't just take it and wash it. He goes, he has to sort it out. Colors one side, whites one side, and then he washes the clothing. Then he washes it, cleans it, dries it, irons it, and then he gives it back to you. So he says when people come here, they got all different types of thoughts. So we have to sift out, we have to sort out the thoughts of the people. So this, therefore a person to now start to get concentration in salah, first a person has to do a proper cause on zikrullah. When zikr is made, now it will help a person to get concentration in salah. In the previous time when people used to live in the farms, they used to come to the town maybe once a week on the Jummah. So they're living out in the farm side. They used to have their little shop. Once a week they come. When they come once a week, they must buy their goods. When they come, they must pay whatever bills they have to pay. Light account, water account, whatever account they have to pay. When they come to town, they must pay all that accounts. Then they must go and fill up their fuel. Whatever somebody else needs something, you must bring that. Go to the market, take all that and now go back. Now a person that came on, now he comes on the day of Jummah. Now he must perform his Jummah namaz also. Now in the morning before Jummah, whatever he can do, he's already finished. There's so much that a person still has to do after the Jummah Salah. But now he goes for Jummah Salah. Where is he going to have concentration in Salah? There's so many things on his mind. I have to do so much of other work. After Jummah, I need to finish this person. I need to finish that person. Before 5, I must be finished. Then I have to go back home. So a person, in order to have concentration, he has to go through this course where he has to make the zikr of Allah Ta'ala. और इनको किसी दर्जा में मलका याददाश्त हासिल हो चुका. And this person has got some quality of concentration because of going through the zikr, making the zikr of Allah Ta'ala. अब वो इस मलका से अपनी नमाजों को बारूह बना सकते हैं. Now when you got the quality of concentration, to some extent, zikr helps you to gain concentration in salah. That's why when a person makes zikr also, the zikr must be done properly. Not that a person is sleepy and is making zikr. Properly the zikr has to be done. So this will help a person gain concentration. Now when he's got this concentration, to some extent, this will bring ruh, this will bring life in the namaz of a person. और नमाज के जरिए से वो अपनी बातिनी मदारिज में बहुत तरक्की कर सकते हैं. Now when he has got concentration, he's got his salah, he's got life in his salah. Through the salah of a person, this person will now progress in the various stages of spirituality. Now he will go very fast to Allah Ta'ala because he is performing a proper salah. Like a person, for example, he bought an aeroplane. So that aeroplane, he can travel 500-600 kilometers. He can travel in an hour's time. He will reach his destination. With a car, it will take you 5-6 hours. But with the aeroplane, in 1 hour, you will reach your destination. But a person doesn't know how to pilot. He doesn't know how to fly that aeroplane. So he's got a powerful tool. He's got an aeroplane, but he doesn't know how to use it. How will he take benefit? He can't take benefit from it. So namaz also, you can reach Allah Ta'ala very quick. Spiritually, a person, his islah can be made through salah. But we don't use the salah properly. That is why we are not getting the results that we want. So here he's saying that if a person, his salah is now full of concentration, is full of life, then a person very quickly he can progress and reach the high levels of spirituality. He can reach Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. जो तरीके नबूवत से तरक्की करने के मुख्तलिफ ज़राई में से एक अहम ज़रिया है. He says from all the various ways of reaching Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, progressing and reaching Allah Ta'ala, this is a very, very important method and a way of reaching Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala from the path of Nubuwwah. There are various ways to reach Allah Ta'ala. There's not only one way to reach Allah Ta'ala. The ulama have written there's so many ways to reach Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, equivalent to the creation of Allah. So many creation of Allah. That means there's so many ways to reach Allah. Other mashayikh have said, according to the number of breath, meaning how much we breathe every day. Approximately 24,000 times a person breathes every day. So many ways to reach Allah. In other words, there are unlimited ways that a person can reach Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Those people that are doing social welfare work, for example, in those countries where the kuffar have bombed, Syria, Iraq, India, Rohingya, various places, Bangladesh, when the Muslims are going through difficulty, Kashmir, how many people put their lives into jeopardy, put themselves into problems. They risk their lives and they go there. Just so that these are my Muslim brothers, I can help my Muslim brothers. Won't these people reach Allah Ta'ala? This is a very effective way. A person can reach Allah Ta'ala in this way. There's so many other ways. For example, there are those people that they take care of the animals, of the dogs. That lady took out water and she gave a dog. She was an evil woman. Allah said, Maaf, you go to Jannah. So through that also, that's a makhluk of Allah Ta'ala, creation of Allah. Mawlana Thanwi Rahmatullahi, his wife told him that I'm going somewhere to the relatives. That at 8 o'clock, you must open up the fowls. They were in the fowl run. Open them up, give them food. Mawlana Thanwi Rahmatullahi, how many kitabs he wrote? 1,500. 60 letters he's responding to every day. Where he's got time to worry about the fowls? He forgot. He forgot about the fowls. He's busy. When he sat down, he opened Bayan al-Quran to write his tafsir. Can't. Blank. Allah Ta'ala made him blank. He started doing some other work. Blank. He fell in sajda. He cried. He said, Ya Allah, what wrong have I done? What wrong have I done that you blocked me off? Allah Ta'ala immediately inspired him. He said that my chickens, my makhluk that is there, they are still tied up. You haven't fed them. Immediately he got up and he ran. Mawlana Thanwi Rahmatullah ran from there. He opened them up. He gave them food. He made tawbah to Allah Ta'ala. Then Allah Ta'ala opened that spirituality for Mawlana Thanwi Rahmatullah. So taking care of animals, a person will reach Allah Ta'ala. There are those that take care of the orphans, take care of the widows. The one person we heard of in Pretoria Lodium, they say on Eid day he wouldn't eat if there wasn't an orphan on his table. The orphan must be there. And these things, these people, they do secretly. Nobody even knows that these people are doing all these things. We go eat namaz. Everyone's looking forward. Clean kurta, clean clothes, and take our musalla. We go for Eid. How many people are there from the morning? They laying the musallas for us. We come and we read and we go on. We go eating at home. But they are now cleaning up. How many people? The burial societies. 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, janaza, one phone call. They wake up. You will hear, make ghusl of the person. Attend, go and put the kafan. Attend to his janaza. How many ways to reach Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Mufti Mahmud Sahib Rahmatullah, on one occasion, he mentioned, he says that the people, they asked in India at that time, the senior ulama in India, what great ulama that were there. He says, who's closest to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala? So the Mufti Sahib said, this we can't answer. Who is closest to Allah? That is in the knowledge of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Sometimes a person looks so simple to you. When Allah Ta'ala pulls him, Allah Ta'ala makes him his beloved, that is the work of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. So he says that from the ways of reaching, so he said there's many ways of reaching Allah, but from among the various ways of reaching Allah Ta'ala, one way of progressing and very quickly reaching Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is through salah. This is one of the ways of nubuwwat. Warna beh ruh namaz, to na tariqe wilayat mein muathir hai, or na tariqe nubuwwat mein mu'tabar hai. Otherwise, if you're reading namaz, but the namaz got no connection with Allah Ta'ala, it's got no life in it, then you won't become a friend of Allah Ta'ala, because your namaz, you're just reading. You're just doing the outward postures of namaz, but inwardly, the namaz got no connection with Allah Ta'ala. And we mentioned that this is the first thing that will be taken away from the ummah. That concentration in salah, connection with Allah Ta'ala, that's the first thing. Masjid will be full to capacity. Masjid will be full to capacity, but there won't be a single person that will be connected to Allah Ta'ala. So he says that namaz without life, it can never make a person a friend of Allah Ta'ala. It's not effective in wilayat, in making a person a friend of Allah. And neither is it acceptable in Shariat also. Neither in Shariat is it acceptable. Many people today, when we're reading namaz, it is done as a duty. It is done as a duty, but Sahaba, they had this rule in them. When that life came, 313 Sahaba on the occasion of Badr. How many kuffar they fought? 1,000. And in Uqub Sahaba. 313, they fought against them. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala gave them victory. I was mentioned, I think Maulana Yusuf Sahib Rahmatullahi, or one of the elders of the Jamaat, of one of the Akabirin, that what they said in today's time, if you have 313 people like Sahaba, with that ruh, with that life, with that spirituality, they will bring a revolution in the whole world. The whole world will change if you can have 313 people today like those Sahaba that fought on the occasion of the Battle of Badr. So actually we make a lot of effort, but another thing that holds us back from progressing in Salah is our gunas. We don't realize that. Which Hazrat Hakim Sahib Rahmatullahi, one poem he says that fiqh dur karta hai manzil se agar che sheikh tera ho lasani. That this fiqh, breaking the commands of Allah Ta'ala, this takes the person away from his destination. You're making so much of effort, you want to reach your destination, but guna comes in between, sins come in between, and this takes you away from reaching your goal, from reaching your destination. Even though your sheikh is such, he's the greatest wali in the world, but you connecting to him, then if you're in gunas, you're not going to reach your destination. He can be the greatest sheikh, that's not going to matter. Why? Because you in the disobedience of Allah Ta'ala. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala, ittaqil maharim, stay away from haram, O Abu Hurairah. Nabi alayhi salam is telling a sahabi that stay away from haram. Ittaqil, Allah give me tawfiq, all of us, we all in need of it. That is why we're talking about it. And I'm talking about it, my ears are closer, so it have an effect more on me. Ittaqil maharim takun a'badan nas. You will be the greatest ibadat guzar. Or he gives an example, he says that if a person, he got a glass. He says in the glass is pure water, is clean water in the glass. But somebody, when they're eating, what he did, person, he held the outside of the glass with his curry fingers. He had curry on the fingers, he held the glass. So the water inside, the inside of the glass, perfectly clean. The water is clean. But just that it got a curry mark on the outside. Would anyone drink from that glass? We'll never want to use that glass. We don't feel nice using that glass. So when we want connection in our namaz, we want Allah Ta'ala to come in the heart. But that heart got guna. Now how is Allah Ta'ala going to come in that heart? Allah Ta'ala won't enter that heart. We have to first clean out that heart. Then Allah Ta'ala comes into the heart. He gives an example. He says that there was one person, he was diabetic. So anyway, his sugar was very high. So they had to admit him into hospital. They had to monitor him. They had to get his sugar level under control. So when he was in hospital, they're giving him medication and they're monitoring him. And no matter what they were doing, his sugar levels were going high all the time, never dropping. So it was defying all the theories. So anyway, finally they said, what's wrong and what's going on? That we're trying so much on this person, but his sugar level just doesn't come down. So finally, when they checked, the nurses checked, what they found, under his pillow, he had all the chocolate wrappers. So when they were not there, he's ducking under the blanket and he's eating the chocolate. So now his sugar is not going to come down. So this is guna now. When a person is committing guna, he can be doing it secretly. You think now you're going to reach Allah Ta'ala. You can't reach Allah Ta'ala because a person is breaking the command of Allah Ta'ala. One alim of Madinatul Munawwara, he mentioned, he said that those gunas, that a person he ducked, he hid from people, whole life he committed these gunas. And people didn't even know. They won't find out also. Right till his maut, nobody found out. And after he passed away also, nobody found out. But he says that at the time of death, all this will come out. All this will come up at the time of death. And a person, because in the qabr, in the akhirat, a person, everything is going to come out. Nothing is going to be hidden over there. And a person, his whole life, he hid from people. He did good deeds. He helped people. Or whatever good amal he was doing. In the secrecy of his home also, nobody knew. But at the time of maut, all these things are going to come out. وَحُصِّلَ مَا فِي الصُّدُورِ. What is in the hearts of the people also, all this will come out tomorrow before Allah Ta'ala on the day of Qiyamah. So this gunas, this is the worst, this is our worst enemy. Allah give us all tawfiq, Allah protect us, Allah forgive us. That through this, the whole makhluk of Allah Ta'ala is suffering. Today so many people are seeing so many dreams. Somebody says this is the problem, somebody says that is the problem, that is the problem. But whatever it is through our gunas that the makhluk is suffering. The animals in the jungle, the birds, the fish, every makhluk of Allah Ta'ala. Mullah Thanvi Rahmatullah says, this gunas, this is so dangerous, that at the time of maut, at the time of death, when a person is leaving the world, he becomes despondent. That's the time where a person should have umeed in the rahmat of Allah, in the mercy of Allah. He becomes despondent. One man, he was passing away. So they told him to read kalima. So he said that if I read kalima, how is it going to help me? He says, there hasn't been a guna that I have left out. He said this much and he passed away. So see where gunas take a person. Another person, he was told that read kalima. He said that I haven't performed a single, at the time of death, he said, I haven't performed a single salah. He said, how is kalima now going to help me at the time of death? Another person, he was passing away, Mullah Thanvi Rahmatullahi, right? He was told that recite kalima. He said that I'm trying. Someone is holding my tongue. Something is holding my tongue. So I can't read kalima. So Hazrat explains that he says that you see when we commit gunas and a person doesn't make tawbah, the moment a person makes a mistake, a Muslim, he doesn't commit a major sin. He doesn't commit a guna. It happens by mistake. Sometimes he falls into error. We human beings. So when he falls into error, at that time a person, he makes tawbah to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. So he says when a person sins, it's like a cup. So that cup starts filling. That cup fills. So as long as it is filling now, a person, he still has the opportunity, he can make tawbah, he can turn to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. But then comes the stage, if he doesn't repent, then that cup fills, it comes to the maximum. When it comes to the maximum, what we're going to get? We're going to get an overflow. Now that is dangerous. When we came to the overflow, this is the time Allah save us, when Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala now grips a person. He holds, now Allah Ta'ala takes him to task. So a person, the moment he falls into error, make tawbah. This tawbah also, Hazrat explains, as Hakim Sahib Rahmatullah mentioned, that when we make tawbah, that the tawbah, try and make it on, for example, on the tiles. Something on which a person, he can make tayammum. Now in such a place, now a person, he should make 2 rakat namaz, make tawbah to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Our tears when they fall also, the hadith mentioned dumu', you must shed some tears. Dumu' is the jama'. And what is aqalla jama'? The minimum of the plural is 3. This is the plural has been used. And the minimum for plural is 3. Anything that is 3, you will say that it is in the plural form. So it says that at least minimum 3 drops of tears you should shed. A person should shed at least 3 tears. And that's the minimum that a person can do. And if a person can't do that also, the hadith says, فَإِلَّمْ تَبْكُوا فَتَبَاكُوا. If you can't cry, just act like you're crying. Allah Ta'ala knows it's paza. Allah Ta'ala knows that the man is not crying. But for that also in the court of Allah Ta'ala holds great position, that at least a person is trying to cry. And if a person can't even do that, then the crying of the heart is that regret when a person is going through pain. But how could I do this? How could I break Allah Ta'ala's command? Allah has given me so much, so many ni'mas. I'm enjoying every split second of my life. What hasn't Allah Ta'ala given me? So he says that regret, that pain of the heart, that is crying. One dua we learn that we should try and recite. Allah Ta'ala, this can be a means of Allah Ta'ala protecting us from our gunas. Allahumma waqiyatan ka waqiyatil walid. Allah, you save me. Allah, you protect me. You take care of me. Like how kawaqiyatil walid, like the taking care of a little child, of a newly born baby. Parent, mother, when she got that baby, how she look after that baby, how she attaches that baby to her bosom the moment she gives birth to that child, how the mother takes care of it. Allah, you take care of me that I don't fall into guna, like the taking care of a little baby. They say this guna is such a thing that a person, if he doesn't give it up, he doesn't make an effort in that direction, doesn't stay with mashayikh, this can remain right till maut. Allama Busairi Rahmatullah in Qasida Burda Sharif, what he said, one nafsu katifl, that this nafs of a person, this carnal desires of a person, this is like a child. In tuhmilhu shabba ala hubbi rada'i. If you leave the nafs, it will, it's like a child. The child, if you leave the child will grow up ala hubbi rada'i, upon desire of breastfeeding, meaning the mother, when she is breastfeeding the child. So if the mother doesn't wean the child, and she leaves him, she keeps breastfeeding the child. The maximum period of breastfeeding in the Hanafi mazhab is up to 2 years. And in extreme situations, some fuqaha have said 2.5 years. If the child can't eat solids at all, another 6 more months you can breastfeed the child. But the child, if you don't wean the child off and you keep breastfeeding, that child will grow up 7 years, 8 years, 10 years, he'll still drink the mother's milk. So he says that in tuhmilu shabba ala hubbi radai, if you leave the child, he will grow up to be a young man on having love for the breast milk. Wa in tuftinhu yanfatimi, and if you now wean off the child, then it's difficult. The child cries, the child is crabby, mother also goes through pain. So if you do that, if you wean the child will leave the guna, will leave the milk. Exactly the same way, if a person makes the effort and he says, no, I'm giving it up, and then the desire will come, say one more time, do it one more time, after I finish. Never that one more time, a person says one more time and he goes into it one more time, then the desire gets stronger now to continue, just like the child wanting that milk again. But when a person says, I'm never going to do it, and he gives it up, finished, then after that Allah Ta'ala makes it very easy for a person. Jigar Muradabadi Rahmatullah alayh, he was all India poet. He was such a drunkard, that when he used to come onto the stage, he couldn't come himself. Two people had to carry him, one on his right, one on his left. They used to hold him and they used to put him on the stage. So it's a long story, I don't want to go into the details how he came to Mawlana Thanvi Rahmatullah, and he asked Mawlana Thanvi Rahmatullah to make 4 du'as for him. So one dua he asked from Mawlana Thanvi Rahmatullah, from Mawlana Thanvi Rahmatullah, I want to give up drinking. So what he did, that one day, through the barakah of Mawlana Thanvi Rahmatullah's dua, Allah Ta'ala gave him tawfiq. All of a sudden, he just stopped drinking. A man that couldn't leave the bottle, when he came to the khanqa, he came on the condition that I only come to the khanqa if I can come with my bottle. So much he used to drink. So one day he just stopped drinking. So when he stopped drinking, he got very, very sick. So they took him to the doctors, to the hospital. So they asked him, the doctors told him, you can't stop like this. So he says, why? He says, if you stop like this, you're going to die. So, and he says that, and if they say you need to gradually stop. So he says, if I gradually stop, what will happen? He says, you'll live longer. He says, how long? So how? That's in the knowledge of Allah Ta'ala. So they must have told him, you so much more longer, you're going to live 10 years more, 20 years, whatever the case may be. They must have told him. That is only in the knowledge of Allah Ta'ala. So nevertheless, if they told him 10 years more, he said that I rather die, but I will be obeying the command of Allah Ta'ala, I stop drinking. Rather than living that 10 years more, 20 years more, in the disobedience of Allah Ta'ala, this is more beloved to me that I die at this stage. So this is what stops a person, this prevents a person from reaching Allah Ta'ala, from us getting that connection in namaz, because of the gunas that a person is. And on the contrary, when a person he obeys Allah Ta'ala, then the rahmat of Allah Ta'ala comes down. Then the rahmat of Allah Ta'ala comes down, and not only do we benefit from that rahmat, our progeny and their progeny is also to benefit. In the story of Khizr alayhi salam and Musa alayhi salam, when they met, and Khizr alayhi salam, they came to one town. So the people of the town, they never gave them any food. They were not hospitable to them. They weren't kind to them. So when they went into this town, they needed food. These people never give them. So Khidr alayhi salam saw one wall. It was falling. He started fixing up the wall. Oh, Musa alayhi salam took objection. He told him, what you doing? The people of this town never even give us food. You want to fix up the wall. So Khidr alayhi salam, that was the third objection he raised against Khidr alayhi salam. Khidr alayhi salam said, right, now you go your way, I go my way. But he said, I'll tell you why I did these things. One is where he killed a boy. One is where he dug the ship that they went in, free of charge they took him. He made it defective. And the third one was, he put up this wall. What he said? He said that under this wall there is treasure. And this belongs to لِغُلَامَيْنِ يَتِيمَيْنِ, to 2 orphans. Abuhuma Salihah, the father were righteous, the parents were righteous. When they were righteous, Allah Ta'ala used Khizr alayhi salatu wasalam to protect their wealth. In the story of in Surah Baqarah, Bani Israel, that surah is called Baqarah because Bani Israel bought that cow. And how much did they pay for that cow? They asked a lot of questions. So every time they asked a question, Allah Ta'ala said, slaughter a cow. But they asked, what kind cow? What should be the color of the cow? All questions. So every time they asked, Allah made it more difficult for them. So finally they bought the cow. What price they had to pay for that cow? The price that they paid for that cow was that how much of gold could go into the skin of the cow. That was the price of the cow. And Bani Israel paid that price. They paid so much and they bought that cow. That also why? How did that young boy who sold the cow to them, how did he get it? The father was a righteous man. And before he passed away, he took that cow into the jungle. He said, oh Allah, I give this cow in your amanat. You take care of this cow. And when my son grows up, Allah, you protect it and let my son then get his cow. Later on when he got up, his mother explained to him, it's a long story. When he went there, he got that cow and he sold that cow. So much of wealth he got from that cow. So see, when a person is pious, not only he benefits, but his progeny also benefits.